Okay, so I wanted to make a very short video, basically just showing my OPK progression, the cycle that we successfully conceived, and just kind of what I did to track that progress. So it's really nothing fancy at all. I just took a notebook. I would put the date, the time, what cycle day it was, and then I would tape the OPK right next to it so that I could track day to day and I can see if the test line is progressively getting darker to match the control line. So as you can see, I started testing on May 4th, and you'll see that the times are fairly consistent for the most part. I didn't put too much pressure on myself to hit the same exact time every single day, but as we get further down in what cycle day number it was, you'll see that I would test at different points in the day to ensure that I would capture the LH surge. The hearts on the side are the days that we baby danced. So as you can see, I started with cycle day 14, and if you saw my previous video, you would know that I did follow the sperm meets egg plan. So typically that starts in cycle day 8, but because I have very irregular cycles, I knew that I had some more time to buy essentially. So I would start my tracking on cycle day 14. And as you can see, the test line is very light in the beginning. I only tested once on cycle day 14, and then starting on cycle day 16 is when I would test twice a day. So I found with using OPKs that I had better luck testing initially right after lunchtime and then later in the evening. So in the past, I would basically just test first thing in the morning, but after doing a lot of research and just kind of figuring out my body, I found that afternoon was when I had a better chance of catching a surge. So cycle day 16 was kind of that sweet spot of when I got much more serious about it. So as you can see, we're going down. And then once we get to cycle day 20, this is when I started tracking and monitoring everything much closer, because as you can see here, the lines are starting to get darker and starting to match one another. So still not a positive at cycle day 20, but at least I can see that we're making good progress and that it should ideally be happening within the next couple days. So if you look at May 11th, which is cycle day 21, and May 12th, which is cycle day 22, that is when I had the darkest line. So you can see that my test line on both of these days is darker than the control line, and that is exactly what we're looking for. So that confirms that I did in fact have a positive LH surge, and that ovulation would be set to occur about 12 to 36, sometimes 48 hours after that. So it doesn't mean that I ovulated that day, but that ovulation is coming. And then it's important to remember that once you get that LH surge, that doesn't mean that you stop testing. You want to continue testing, because in some cases you can have multiple LH surges in a cycle. And so you just want to see that, is the line getting darker? Is it staying as is, or are they getting lighter? You can see from cycle day 21 and 22, the lines are pretty dark. And then once we hit cycle day 23 onwards, it gets light again. So I was able to confirm that, again, I did have a surge on these days, and then compare that to my basal body temperature with how I charted. I was able to see that I did get an LH surge, and then use my basal body temperature charts to confirm ovulation. And then just to quickly show here, so these were, and sorry that it looks so crazy, but I initially told myself I wasn't going to test earlier than 14 DPO so that I can be the most safe with the results I was getting, but I, of course, was very impatient and I started at 12 DPO. But these are the results that I got with the HCG pregnancy tests. I just used the cheapies at first just because, you know, if I see any sort of indication that there's a positive there, I'll then move to a first response. But I just started with the cheapie tests, and as you can see, on May 25th, which was 12 DPO, It was a very blazing positive there. And then I tested every 2 days after that until I reached 18 DPO. You know, statistically, every 48 hours-ish, your HCG should be doubling. So ideally, you would be seeing the lines get darker. So that's what I did. And as you can see, 14 DPO, 16 DPO, and 18 DPO are all very, very dark. So I also used first response and clear boot tests in addition to this once it was very much confirmed on this end. But I just kind of wanted to share my progression with you all. I hope this was helpful. It's definitely very tedious and time consuming, but it is extremely beneficial when getting to know your cycles. And it's important to keep track of these things so that, you know, if it wasn't successful, if it wasn't successful the first time, you have something to go off of the next time. And it allows you to become much more custom with your body and to kind of see around what point in time you do ovulate, which will eventually make things easier when tracking in the future. So hope this was helpful. See you in the next one.